What's up everybody and welcome back to another video. So we wanted to do another kind of Q&A or money talk video because you guys seem to enjoy the last one, and both of us get questions all the time about money, finance, budget, saving, retirement. And so what I thought I'd do is just do a series where we sit down like this and I just answer your questions, or we just answer your questions. I am the money guy in the relationship, but she has learned a ton over the last decade, so she can answer some questions as well.
Yes, and I was looking down because I have both of our phones. We did the Q&A on Instagram to get the questions from you guys. There are so many questions, so I already know I think this is going to be a two-part video.
Also, let us know what you guys think about this more like relaxed format here where we're just kind of chilling on the couch. We got this brand new couch and it's a lot more comfortable than just sitting on the stools in front of the windows.
And without further ado...
That's my saying, without further ado.
Let's get right into it. John said I have to look at his phone first. And he has not seen any of these questions. I haven't either, but I'm holding the phones and asking them. So, okay. Question number 1. 20K just sitting in a savings, thinking about real estate, but don't know where to start? Question mark.
That's an excellent question, and one I get a lot. So it is a smaller amount of money. It's not a small amount of money, but relatively speaking in the real estate world or in the finance world, it's a smaller amount of money to get started with. So I get this question all the time. Someone has $1,000, $1,500, or all the way up to $20,000, $30,000. And you can't buy an entire house with that, right? Or at least not in most areas.
Maybe here.
Sometimes here you can, but it's going to be very hard to buy a house with that. So what you can do with that money, and I'm assuming that anytime I answer these questions, all of your bad debt is paid off, and this is extra savings sitting around that you want to invest. So what I would do is you can put that money down as a down payment on a house to house hack or a house to flip or your first investment property. It is enough for a down payment in most areas. Or you can take that money and join up with a partner and you guys can go in on a venture together. So maybe they have $100,000 and you have $20,000. So they purchase the house, you bring the rehab amount, and you guys figure out some type of split. So a partnership scenario would work great with that amount of money, or again, using it as a down payment to buy your first investment property.
Question number 2, can I borrow some money?
Absolutely. At 15% annualized, anybody can borrow money as long as it's asset secured and I've done my due diligence on the deal you're presenting.
As a 20-year-old who's still in college, should I start an IRA? If so, what are the best options?
Yes. Again, assuming all your debt's paid off.
I wish that I did that when I was 20.
Me as well. So actually, I didn't discover IRAs for each of us until I was almost 27, 28.
Yeah.
And we had missed out on a lot of money and opportunity. So yes, the younger you are, even for parents watching this, get your kids started in an IRA. Yes, you can do that. As long as you have a social security number for them, you can start them in IRA. The earlier the better, because the power of compounding interest is real, and somebody starting when they're 15, 16, 17, 18 versus someone starting when they're 45, the 45-year-old, depending on the amount they're investing, let's say they're investing the same amount each, they will never catch them. It's impossible because of the power, again, of compounding interest. So yes, the younger you are, the better. And my favorite type of IRA is a Roth IRA because I love the idea of it being tax-free in retirement and go ahead and paying the taxes now and getting it out of the way. But a rule of thumb is if your employer offers a 401k match, take that first up into the match, then switch over to the Roth IRA, max that out. If you have more money you want to invest, then you switch back to your employer 401k and max that out. And some of you are extremely, extremely lucky. You have a Roth 401k offered by your employer, which is the best of both worlds in my opinion.
Before we get to the next question, if you're enjoying this video, please give it a thumbs up. We would really appreciate it because we love making these videos for you guys and we want to know that you love them too. This is a really good question for you. I want to get into real estate, but I also plan to move from LA to Nashville next year. Any suggestions?
Ooh, I was in a similar situation. Rihanna says I have to be quick. So what I would do is I would research people doing what you want to do in Nashville and start connecting with them as soon as possible and have meetings set up with them when you get there. That's what I would do.
And go to real estate meetups. I know you would add this if you thought of it. When you get there, go to real estate meetings and then you can meet people in the area and network.
Yep, just start researching the market.
Should you have a 6-month emergency fund or more?
I personally am a fan, we are personally a fan of the 6-month emergency fund, but that is a bit much for most. I would like to see most people get to at least $1,000 first and then 3 months minimum. After that, a 6-month is nice to have, but again, I know everybody's in different financial situations, but you should work towards that.
And I also wanted to add, because I am like an employee and John's not, if you're an employee, you usually have short-term and long-term disability that can be part of your emergency fund kind of. So keep that in mind. Make sure you understand your short and long-term disability plans. They do not pay how much you get paid. They only pay percentage of that. So don't expect that to make up for your income if you have an emergency.
Yeah, you never know what's going to happen, and Corona has been a prime example of that. And many people lost their businesses and their livelihood because they did not have an emergency fund.
I don't know the answer to this one, but how many houses have you guys bought and sold in 2020?
Oh, that's a good question. So we were actually just debating this the other day because we wholesale some and flip some. But I would say in total we've done almost 40 this year, which is our goal, and we're a little bit ahead of schedule.
How many have we personally invested on?
Oh, personally, this year?
Yeah.
This year, you and I have personally invested on, I think, 7 houses.
Any tips on paying off $50,000 in student loans?
So this advice is going to be just like any other advice for debt, period. You're going to have to live well below your means and make sacrifices. You know, no eating out, no going to the movies, none of that stuff, or at least at minimum, and knock that debt out. Again, it's a temporary sacrifice, and it really depends on how bad you want that debt gone. So for us, we never wanted to be in debt, and we wanted to be financially free, so we made and continue to make sacrifices daily in order to reach that, because it's very important to us. Just like any other debt, plan, save, and put that money towards that debt as quickly as possible, make those sacrifices, and get that debt gone.
Chip away a little bit at a time. It'll feel overwhelming at first, but as you see your debt go down and your contribution go up, you'll start to feel a lot better and become more motivated. What is usually the most optimal season in life to invest in real estate? Ooh, can I answer this one?
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't think there is a most optimal time or a perfect time to do anything, and I would also apply that to this. The younger you can get started in investing, the better, because like we talked about, compounding interest, and also typically you would hope the real estate market would go up over time where you are. So if you buy it younger, as you get older, it'll be worth more. But like I said, I think that there's never a perfect time for anything. You just have to jump in and do it.
Yep, and my favorite quote of mine is the best time to plant a tree for shade was yesterday. So just remember that, and you should get started as soon as possible if you're able. All right, so real quick, the next question that she chooses is going to be the money question, and that's the winner of the $20 grand prize. You also have to comment down below that we answered your question and what time in the video we answered your question, and I will send you your $20. Thanks for asking the question.
Okay, I'm going to just scroll through and randomly pick somebody so it's completely fair, and right now I'm scrolling and I'm picking. Sophia Carrillo asked, how much cash do you need to invest in real estate?
$0. Now, I'm not going to be like one of those gurus and be like, you never need any money to invest. But you technically don't need any money to put down or to invest in real estate because you can use other people's money. So yes, it's a trick question. You do need money. Can't buy real estate with like corn or like Pokemon cards. Well, maybe you can now because those things are through the roof. But anyway, you do need somebody's money, whether it's yours or somebody else's. But technically, you don't need any of your own money. Use a partner and get started.
How to choose the best savings account, online banks or traditional?
So it doesn't really matter. Like a savings account is like, I don't know, it's like picking the best olive for me. I hate olives altogether. So it's better than no food at all, right? I will eat an olive if I'm starving, but a savings account is basically city money, and city money is dead money. Not saying you shouldn't have one, especially for your emergency fund, but the best savings account, you're probably looking somewhere between 0.8% and up to maybe 2 or 3% max on what they're going to pay you interest. So just pick whichever one works the easiest for you. Maybe a bank that's in your area that's more easily accessible. If you're doing it online, it doesn't really matter, I guess. And just pick the highest one because they're all going to be pretty comparable these days.
Okay, last question on your phone, then we'll switch so it's fair. What made you get into real estate instead of any other industry?
Oh, great question. I think it was just the natural evolution of things for me. I've always enjoyed flipping things. I started off with flipping furniture, then I moved up to flipping motorcycles, street bikes. I did that for a long time. And then it was just the evolution of thing that the next most expensive thing from there just happened to be houses. And I just enjoy the real estate market and I enjoy the business of it. I just like that it's always something new. Every house is a new story. Every house has its nuances and it always keeps you on your toes. It's never boring. So for me, real estate was just the way to go, and also just a simple Google search. How is the most wealth created it's real estate. So it was just easy for me to choose that. And then, yeah, that's why I chose real estate.
Okay, now I'm switching to my phone, and a lot of these are about money and school. So these are about money in CRNA school, but keep in mind when you're watching this that this could be about any kind of continuing education, any kind of advanced learning that you have to pay for. How much savings do you need total before entering CRNA school? Now I'm going to answer this for everybody and make it very general before entering school at all. So to me, you need to figure out how much your baseline spending is, and at the very least, how much could you live with spending a year? And then you need to times that by how long your program is, so you know how much money you'll need to survive throughout your program, and you also need to know how much tuition is and decide if you're taking out any student loans at all. So it requires a lot of math and planning.
Yeah, I mean, that's right. So are you going to work through school? Or are you living off entirely loans? Is your parents going to help you out? These are all factors that would vary from person to person depending on how much they need saved in an account. Now, if you don't plan on working at all, you don't have any student loans, and you don't have any help from your family, you will need to do what she said. You'll need to calculate how long you will be in school and multiply that times how much you need to live off of each month, which could be substantial. So I would suggest that you either save up a ton of money if you're going to do like a 3-year program, or you find some assistance or work.
How can you pay off debt fast?
It's the same.
If you take our course, it's only $1,099 a month, but it is so worth it.
Well, wait, if you
take our
buy
course,
now.
no money down though.
Yeah, no money down. Buy now.
No money
$500.
down. 0 interest for 3 years, and then you can pay off your debt.
So the course is linked down below. No, we don't have a course. Maybe one day. But for real, same thing I answered earlier in this video. Put a plan together. Make the necessary sacrifices, save diligently, work as much as you can, even pick up side jobs, and that's how you save and pay off debt and get ahead financially. It's the same story for everyone. Unless you have an inheritance or win the lottery or something, everybody has to do it the same way. Some can just do it quicker than others based on the amount of sacrifices they make and how much their income is.
This next question I'm going to ask got cut off, but I think it's really important to address because a lot of people could end up in this situation or are in this situation. And that is currently I can't save any money due to me helping my parent and I don't have any loans.
So again, another scenario that I see a lot, and it's very unfortunate, and this is a tough one to answer. I like the analogy is that it's hard to pour from an empty cup, and basically that's what you are doing. The more you give to other people without having yourself, the harder it is to give to those people. And I understand. You have a parent that's in dire need, a child, somebody, you have to help them out, especially if it's your child. But if it's a family member, a friend, or something like that, I don't know. It's going to be completely up to you. We love to help others, but the reason why we save so much and we put ourselves in this financial position is so that we can give more without being a detriment to ourselves. Because if you have nothing, you can't give anything. And I believe the more you have, the more you can give. And so this is a question that you're going to have to answer for yourself. I can't tell you to stop helping your parent, but I would find a happy medium and maybe help yourself while helping them. If you're capable to do that, again, I don't know your specific situation, but really be careful helping other people when your glass is empty.
And I just wanted to add, since we don't know the situation, this could be handled differently in different situations. Like, I don't know if your parent is sick and really needs help and can't provide for themselves at all. If they are like in that situation, there is social work, there are programs that can help and help take some of the burden off of you. I don't know if your parent just has maybe a spending problem or is unable to save their own money. That's a completely different situation that you'll need to talk about. But I just want to throw that out there.
Great point. Look for some assistance in helping.
Ooh, this is a really good question.
Okay.
In the beginning of your journey for frugality and intention, how did you deal with friends who weren't? Like, that weren't supportive?
Oh boy, I got picked on a ton. I still do to this day.
Yeah.
But I think that a lot of people, and they'll admit this, they've reached out since then. A lot of people in my younger 20s that picked on me for that now said that I was probably doing the right thing. And they just didn't understand it at the time. They didn't understand why I wouldn't buy drinks out at the bar, or I wouldn't go to the movies, or go out to eat, or when we all went out to eat, I got a water. They didn't understand that. I think they understand it a little bit more now that they're older and that I'm using that money to invest and make more money. It makes sense now, but you're going to deal with that. And if they're your true friends, they will understand.
I totally agree. I kind of went through the same thing because we had very similar friends group anyway, and you just have to kind of stand your ground, explain your why, and if they don't understand, then that's their problem.
Also, own it. Own that you're frugal. Look at my name now. I'm called the Frugal Investor on Instagram. Tagged out right here. But yeah, just own it. And if you're not ashamed of it, when they go to pick on you, who cares? And that's how I treat it now.
We used to eat meals before we went out to dinner with our friends, and then we would split something like an appetizer or a meal, so we didn't have to buy 2 meals. This is like way back in the day.
Shh, don't tell them all of that.
And we would tell people, because they'd be like, why are you splitting food? And people still pick on us for splitting food.
Splitting food, we would drink alcohol before we went out. We'd
Yeah.
split drinks.
Yeah.
We've done it all.
This next question is actually from a friend of mine who I graduated CRNA school with, and now is a CRNA. It's from Edwin.
Oh, okay. What's up, Edwin?
Invest now or pay off student loans first?
Ooh, that's a really tricky one. So my advice here is, or something you should consider, is that when you pay off debt, that's a guaranteed return on investment. So if that debt is costing you 5% annualized and you pay that off early, you are saving 5% guaranteed. Whereas when you invest that money and you go anything above 5% typically, even really above 3 or 4%, it becomes a maybe. And so yes, while you can earn higher returns in the market or in real estate, those things are maybes, while the debt is a guarantee. And that's why I often preach, and people like Dave Ramsey often preach, for the majority, is to pay off debt first and get that guaranteed ROI, because most people are not educated enough or skilled enough to invest their money on their own to get a guaranteed higher return, because there's really no such thing. But it's also hard to even get a probable guarantee once you start getting above 7, 8, 10%. There's always risk involved. So my personal preferences for most is to pay off debt first.
I have to add on to this question because I've heard this question a lot too. So if you have student loans and you just got a job, say as a nurse or whatever, and you have an offer for 401k, should you forego the 401k to spend all that money on your loans?
Depends on your job. If your job is super secure and pays a high income, you can usually gamble doing the 401k match at least. That's free money. That's going to be hard to beat the ROI on that. And that's a guarantee because they're going to give you that match.
Okay.
Right? So that's not in the market. So maybe take the match first and then pay off the debt. But you should really be doing them simultaneously, especially if you're making a higher income.
So you could pay off your student loans a certain amount a month and also contribute to your 401k a certain amount.
Right, that's the plan we always talk about. Develop a plan, and you can pay and invest at the same time if you wanted to. But again, only if your job is guaranteed, and it depends on the amount of your debt. So if you have hundreds of $1,000s in debt, I would maybe just focus your income on that for the time being. All right, guys, she's gonna find one more question for this video. Again, if you guys like this format and this style of video, please comment down below, and we'll do these more often because I really enjoy making these videos.
Okay, so the next question actually hits close to home for us. Well, you don't know it yet, so I should tell you. But someone said they're saving for adoption, advice on saving for adoption and what are adoption costs. So it depends on what kind of adoption you're doing. The most expensive adoption is an international adoption because there's lots of fees required to get a child from one country to become a citizen of another country, and all the stuff you have to undergo. It takes a lot of time. I would say the next most expensive one would probably be a private adoption within the US. If you adopt through foster care, the costs are usually minimal to none. Now, the reason a lot of people kind of shy away from this is because adoptions in foster care aren't guaranteed at first. So when you take a foster child and you're told that they might be adoptable, that's not always the case in the end, and things can change, and that scares a lot of people away. So I'll let John talk about saving the money, but I just wanted to kind of talk to you about the different kinds of adoption.
So saving for this is going to be like saving for anything else. Obviously, I don't mean that a child is the same as a vacation, but saving is saving regardless. So if there's something you want or want to do, develop the plan for it and set money aside for it each and every paycheck or every single month. But again, even before I adopted, and some of you may argue this, I would be debt-free first, because you do not want to bring a child into the home and that's an additional expense and you are not ready for it financially. It won't be good for you, and it will not be good for the child or children. So please plan this out and not think about just your future, but their future as well before making that commitment.
So we wish you well in your adoption endeavor. If you have any questions more about adopting in foster care, please feel free to DM either one of us on Instagram. We're always happy to talk about our experience and help educate people who are interested. So put our Instagrams right here, and that's the last question.
That's it, guys. Well, again, I really enjoy making these videos, and thanks for helping me out with them.
You're welcome.
And we'll see you guys on the next video. Again, if you like this, please hit the thumbs up button and subscribe. Nailed it. And I appreciate your support. See you guys next week.
See ya.